Hi guys, today I'm refreshing my vertical planter. You might remember when I planted some cool weather crops in here this spring. Since then I planted a whole bunch of warm weather crops in here. Some of this stuff is done growing and some of it needs cut back and refreshed. I'm going to be taking some stuff out and planting some new seeds. Down here at the bottom there were some cucumbers growing. They did really well. They produced a lot of cucumbers for me, but as you can see they're pretty much dead now. One plant had a fungal disease and the other one had bacterial wilt because we had a lot of cucumber beetles in the garden this year. They spread bacterial wilt. Cucumbers are heavy feeders, so I'm sure that this soil is pretty depleted. So what I'm going to do is just reach my hands in here and scoop out some of this old potting soil, and I'm going to put some new potting soil in here. It's the end of July, so I need to make sure that I'm growing a variety that matures pretty quickly. I'm going to be planting Parisian gherkin cucumbers. They mature in about 50 days. I find that a lot of times when you plant stuff in pots, it matures even faster than plants that you plant in the ground. So I think I have plenty of time for more cucumbers. To plant these seeds, I'm just making a couple little indentations, and then I'll just drop the seeds in. I'm going to put 2 in that hole and 1 in this hole. Cover them up. And once they start growing, I'm going to thin them out to 1 plant in each one of these little, I don't know what you want to call them, pockets. These tomato plants are so cute. They only get about 12 inches tall. They are loaded down with tomatoes. Most of the tomatoes are either ripe or getting ripe. There are some green ones though. These are determinate tomatoes, which means they put all of their fruit out at the same time, and then the plants are done. The plants will die. So I'm going to harvest a bunch of these tomatoes, see how many green tomatoes are left on each plant, and if there's only a few green tomatoes on some of the plants, I might just pull the entire plant to make room for something else. I really like these tomatoes. There's one thing that I don't like about them though. Shortly after you pick them, they start getting soft, so they go bad kind of fast. You just have to make sure you use them up pretty quick after you harvest them. And I'm picking a lot of these tomatoes that are half ripe because they'll ripen up really fast in the house. There's a couple of pockets full of parsley in the stacking container. I've been using the other one a whole bunch, but this one I've barely touched. It looks mostly good, but a little rough. I'm going to go ahead and cut it back to encourage some new growth. And I'll take this little bunch of parsley in the house and use as much of it as I can. I've used a lot of this Swiss chard. There is some bug damage on here. I'm going to cut off these bug damaged leaves. I like to use Swiss chard when it's smaller anyway. There's something on here. Oh, lots of bugs. Get rid of that. Looks like there's caterpillar poop on it. And some white stuff. I'm just cutting this back to the point where there are just a few leaves. I want the plant to be able to collect energy from the sun so that it can shoot out some new growth here, and it will just look much better as long as the bugs don't bother it too much. This is some granular fertilizer. It has NPK, nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium in it. I'm fertilizing everything in this container once every couple of weeks with a water-soluble, fast-acting liquid fertilizer. These granular fertilizers are slow release, and they work their way down into the soil over time. This is a miniature dill called fern leaf dill. I'm a huge fan of dill. It's my favorite herb to grow. I have a bunch of dill plants grown in this garden right now at all different stages of growth because I always like to make sure that I have some dill growing. This dill's looking a little rough. It's got a lot of yellowing going on. I don't see any swallowtail butterfly caterpillars on this dill. So I'm going to pull it out of here and plant some fresh fern leaf dill. I have the taller varieties grown in my garden. It's really your choice if you want to pull the caterpillars off. It's your garden. I prefer not to pull the caterpillars off. I'm going to pull this dill out and plant some fresh dill in here. Sprinkle my dill seeds here. So right here on top I'm going to plant some carrots. I just harvested some carrots a couple of weeks ago from a pot. They didn't do too great. They didn't do too bad. I don't want to plant them too close together. So I've created some little indentations with my finger, and I'm just dropping a couple seeds into each hole. Cover them up, and as these come up, I'll thin them out to make sure that there's only one carrot in each space so that they're not too crowded. Next, I'm planting some Paris Island lettuce. So somebody commented on one of my videos and told me that Paris Island is a variety that does really well in the heat. I don't know how this is going to do here. This seed is actually 2 or 3 years old, so I'm going to overseed just to make sure I get good germination. Cilantro bolts very quickly in the hot weather, but I really need some cilantro for my tomatoes and for my peppers. So there's the cilantro. I'm going to plant some calendula in here. I've actually never had really good luck growing calendula. It's really more of a cool weather flower, but you know, I have pansies growing in here. In a couple of months, if these are still alive, they should be doing okay, hopefully. I've always tried to plant these in the ground, and I have some pretty rough clay soil. Some flowers do really well in clay soil, others don't. So maybe that's the problem I'm having with these. We'll find out, because this is a really nice loose potting soil. I couldn't believe how well the cucumbers grew in this pot, especially for the small amount of soil that's in each of these layers. So I'm excited to get those going again. That's all for this video. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye.